Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemophilepod.com. I am eager to talk to our guest today, Alexis Lloyd. He's the director of a wonderful narrative film called Group, The Schopenhauer Effect. It's based on a novel written by Irvin D. Yalom, and it's called The Schopenhauer Cure. And the film blends scripted and improvised elements to explore this group setting. And this film is based on 3 separate sessions where these 8 actors come together with a real-life psychoanalyst from New York City, Dr. Elliot Zeisel, and he conducts the group, and he runs it just as he would any group that he has been in charge of. The exception is these are actors improvising their stories. And this is also based on something that came out a few years ago. I think it was a part of a project from PBS. It was called Group, the series, and it was on for 2 seasons, released on YouTube, and then later on became so popular that there was Alexei decided, I'm going to make a film out of this. And boy, did he succeed. It is terrifically acted, and everyone is absolutely stellar in it. It's really well acted. Called Group, The Schopenhauer Effect. And with that, let me bring on to the program the director and writer of this wonderful film, Alexis Lloyd. Alexis, welcome to Cinemophile.
Thank you.
Alexis, thank you for being here. As I was preparing for our conversation, one of the things that kept popping into my head was, be careful, don't give too much away. You're going to spoil it for people who want to go see this wonderful film Group, The Schopenhauer Effect. And because of that, I'm going to lean on you to help guide me through that part of our conversation.
I wouldn't worry because, it's really about the experience.
Yeah.
Everybody has a slightly different experience, but my goal is really for people to have an experience that is a bit unpredictable. I don't think, there's no plot reveal. There's nothing. I have a feeling the more they understand that it's a format that might be new to them, and it's going to be a new experience as, a viewer. The goal is really to engage the viewer in a way that is unconventional and gets and touches people, make them laugh, make them cry in ways they haven't, they're not quite ready for. And that's the fun of it. There's nothing that can be said that for me spoils it.
Well, then, with that in mind, what was the inspiration for you to embark on this project that we now know as Group, The Schopenhauer Effect? What inspired you to do this?
I guess the triggering point was my going to the Actors Studio. Actors Studio helped me get my green card in America and allowed me to shoot, to work. I became a member of the Actors Studio and went there regularly at some point, where I realized that there was something special going on in the actors' training and working with the directors, how they really focused on the here and now, on being ready for what's unpredictable, not coming with an agenda, that allowed them to explore the art of acting in a way that was particularly engaging, particularly raw, even magnetic. And in order to create these special moments of drama, of acting, they were working to be really intensely ready for anything going here and now. And when I read the book of Irvin Yalom called The Schopenhauer Cure, I thought the world of group therapy is something I had heard of through my father a long time ago, 50 years ago, in Paris in the 70s. But I thought this is a particularly rich setting for pushing the boundaries of acting, for really see what actors can create as moments that are special, unrepeatable, that touches people. I wanted to work with improvisation. not improvisation in the sense that they invent the plot, but in dialogue improvisation, so that the dialogue are improvised based on constructed characters, constructed narrative beats. But I really wanted to capture that very special tone that happens in these group therapy conversations.
The idea of group therapy, it is a radical idea going back to, if you go back to Freud, the idea of a one-on-one relationship with a psychologist or psychiatrist in helping you move through your life. And I'm struck by a couple of things. In a group setting, our tendency, I think, as humans would be to sit in a circle. And therefore you're kind of, everyone is in a sense equal in the way that the structure of the physical structure as well as the psychological structure of it. And I'm struck by the fact that in so many ways, sitting around the campfire, sitting around in a village setting where you were as early human beings, it would have been very similar in that we would have been sharing stories of the world we were trying to explain to one another as early human beings. And so it's so elemental, but I can imagine when it became something that was done in a psychoanalytic tradition, it was probably considered fairly radical, or was it?
I think the reason why it developed almost suddenly after the Second World War in America in a very powerful way, still somewhat niche, but it had this moment when the GIs came back from the war, because so many of them needed help and needed some form of treatment. But the demographic of doctors, of psychiatrists, of people who had enough experience of what we call PTSD now, which was really, they called it shell shock at the time. And without being completely in shell shock, lots of the GIs, the soldiers, the officers came back from the war with really a very, a very hard experience to deal with, and had a hard time adapting back to civilian life. So what they did is that, given the number of doctors available, they said, we're going to have to, except for some very severe cases, put you together in groups of 10 and give you one doctor, and you just meet once a week and you see, we see what's going to happen. But what happened is that these groups did remarkably well. Some, I'm sure, better than others, but mostly something happened when the American soldiers came back from the war, is that they realized that by meeting once a week in a group of 10 under the guidance and sort of leadership of a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist that was trained for that, they were healing one another. The conversations that they were having helped them get back into the world of peace and civilian life and connect with other human beings in a way that was not wartime, and help them deal with this adaptation through mutual identification. And a certain practice was developed at that time that I find for cinema especially dramatic, cinematic, rich, which is that it goes beyond support groups. Support groups are extremely important, and they're a very big part of American life. When people have a problem with alcohol or with drugs, it is, extremely helpful, extremely efficient to go to a support group. But these groups that are based on psychoanalytic practice, culture, what is called group therapy today in a modern analytic sense, they really go beyond being support groups. They are labs where people, or like emotional gyms, where people try what they are having difficulty with, where people experiment with themselves and with others. And, it is rife with conflict. It is full of, the stuff that is not easily explored in normal social settings, whether it's with friends or family or professional. You don't say, I am attracted to you at that moment, or I want to slap you in the face. I'm not going to do it, but I want to rip your head off. We're not supposed to say, I find your conversation boring. Is it you being actively boring, or am I resisting something that is so sensitive? This particular subculture of psychotherapy really grew and grew again in the 70s, in the 1970s, in a way that I find I'm a child of the 70s, so I really was keen to explore that culture where people felt free to explore stuff and say, okay, individual therapy is very important. Group therapy, couples therapy is critical to save my couple, perhaps, my family. But group therapy, that's pushing the boundary because you get to really expose yourself to strangers in a setting that is safe enough, but actually not that safe in terms of taking risk with yourselves. So people who agree to take risks with themselves embark on that kind of adventure. I felt it's really something that is number one worth filming because it's a unique kind of exchange and it's touching. It touches people in an age where people spend so much time behind screens, through social networks, through a lot of things that are fun and wonderful and new, but also the human connection has become more and more fragile and more precious and
Yeah.
valuable. And so I thought, let's make a film out of this. It's rich stuff.
Well, there's a lot of reasons why this film works so well, not the least of which is a decision on your part to bring in an actual doctor of psychology. I assume psychology, right?
Yes, he's a PhD in psychology. He's a psychoanalyst and a group leader. And he's wonderful. It's both a science and an art. He is a master at the art of understanding others, but also at the art of leading a group where you have to get under the skin of people or you have to help them get under the skin of one another. And when it gets too heated, to de-dramatize it, but when it becomes too complacent, to push people beyond their comfort zone and see how much they can tolerate of truth, of emotions, of revealing their emotions to one another. So having somebody who can actually do this, it is a skill, it is a talent, and it is an art form in itself that actors can do a lot of things, but it's like I use the metaphor of jazz and free jazz. A great actor can play for 2 or 3 minutes, a great jazzman, but if you want to have genuine jazz improv, free jazz can be very boring, but it can be extremely exhilarating as well. But you need the real thing to take place. You need Wynton Marsalis. You don't want an actor trying to imitate a great jazz improv. You want the real thing, and that's what I was looking for when I cast him. It was not easy. It took me 1 year to convince him to do it.
Well, he is spectacular in the film because he's a master at deflecting things that are said to him and his ability to kind of turn them back around as a question for the group or a question for a specific character in the film is masterful to watch. He's really, really good at it. And this group of actors that you've assembled are just fantastic. And I have to confess, I did not recognize very many of them in this film. That's my fault. But everyone was very, very good and in their ability to portray these characters in the way that I think brings so much dynamic tension into the film in unexpected ways. And I want to mention that the film is broken into 3 sessions that we see them in. And I know that in your past you worked with Mike Leigh. And what reminds me of Mike Leigh in this film is the rawness of the dialogue, the honesty of the dialogue in the film. These are just things there's really floored me in this film. You did a masterful job, and this cast is amazing. we only have a few minutes. So if you want to comment on any of what I've just said, it's
Well, all of it. Thank you so much. Yes,
yeah.
Mike Leigh has invented this wonderful method that is inspired by theater, where actors rehearse not what they say, but they rehearse together, working on their characters. They create their role and they work on their roles deeply for 3 months before shooting. So when the shooting takes place, there's a freedom in being able to improvise. And that really was something I wanted to experiment in the setting of a group, because I felt this is a particular structure that allows an exploration of the psyche that is not tolerated in other settings, in family, in friend, in work. And to, in a way, not importing the method of Mike Leigh, but it is close. I found it inspirational. And I always wanted to work with New York theater actors. And I thought that that's the way to work with great stage actors. Stage actors, compared to cinema actors or TV actors, they really need to have the chops to be on stage on their own with other actors in front of an audience for 2 hours. There is no cut and do it again. And if it's not good enough, they have to find a way to capture the audience. They know that some nights are better than others. So we did shoot in a way that was a performance for every take. And I think that's what creates a particular tone that people can connect with. They feel there is an actual special moment or special performance happening, because it did happen. And, we let the camera run for 90 minutes. I wanted uninterrupted takes, real-time takes of 90 minutes. It's a very long time. And it took very special actors, very special preparation of these actors, so that they created they created roles, but what they were experiencing and acting was genuine thoughts and genuine emotions inhabiting these roles.
This is, again, I will underscore this again, group Schopenhauer Effect is a masterclass in all of it. The cinematography, sort of the close cutting back and forth around to the different characters is beautifully done. The acting is superb. Our lead is amazing. And I'll just say the final shot it'll tear your heart out. And my congratulations to you on a wonderful, wonderful film. I really was blown away by all of it. It's just a masterclass, really, in so many ways. So thank you. Thank you for your work, and thank you. Oh, you're very welcome. And thank you for your time here today. Alexis Lloyd, thank you for a group, the Schopenhauer Effect. Thank you. You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.